Or this episode for the show Drinks with Miss Rita features, well, I like to think of him ever since we did a wedding in Hawaii together. I think of him as the big kahuna. He doesn't know that. He doesn't know that. But we have so much fun every time we're doing an event together. When this man's name is mentioned and I know I'm gonna work with him, I really look forward because I can sit back and know the wedding's in good hands. Of course, I talk about none other than the Jason Magbanua. Welcome, Jason. Welcome to Drinks with Miss Rita.
RN, thank you so much for having me. It's a treat. It's a delight. Uh, Big Kahuna means so many things, and I'm happy that it is in a positive light. As much as I do that, I look forward to events with you as well, whether here in the Philippines or maybe in Milan or maybe in Florence. We'll talk more about that later.
Yes, definitely. I mean, this is like what somebody told me. This is just a pause. We are going to bounce back, definitely. Hopefully, when we bounce back, it's going to be bigger, brighter, and better. Because no way is the events industry ever going to die down. And our hashtag is love prevails. And as long as two people love each other, they're going to want to celebrate. And
Yes.
we have people like Jason Magbanua to cover this event. And you have RNEP who be there to just really make sure that everything goes well. That being said, Jason, how have you and your team been coping with this ECQ? What's happening?
Okay, on the personal front, on the family front, it's just a lot of time. It's a lot of time doing things that I didn't find time to do before. I've been, well, on a personal level, I've been shining my shoes. I've been watching a lot of Netflix, doing email by day because I need to be in contact with my team and my clients as well. I am actively, yes, yes. So my two boys are with me, and then Madge is with me right now, and we are feasting every day because of her cooking skills. So it's amazing. It's amazing.
I'm
So
so
we're
I'm so
we're correct. We're very fortunate to be in quarantine with her. So we're very well fed. I have been actively avoiding social media for mental health purposes. The first two week, it's all about like being getting updated of what's happening, government policy, things that have been happening in the country. That's a good thing, yes. It's always nice to be informed and aware, but sometimes, I mean, admittedly, the toxicity gets to you. So,
yeah.
I mean, if nothing good comes out of it, like a few scrolling and refreshing and looking at Facebook posts and looking at Twitter, uh, never mind, wag na lang. So I've kept my usage to my phone to, let's say, maybe a couple of hours every day, which is a win for me.
Yeah.
I mean, like I've gotten to like I've picked up books that have been there for a long time. That okay, sige, basahin na natin to. But
Good for you.
try to avoid social media kasi medyo stressful
You
siya,
know what?
stressful eh.
Adding to that, you know what gets me with regards to social media is, what is fake news and what is not fake news. Because like you get a tweet, you get a message, and then later on you say, "Oh, this is fake news, pala." It's like all this garbage is just in my head, and now you're telling me I have to get it out again. It's like
Correct.
what we, yeah, I get what you're saying, but um, was there ever any time, and I've asked this with most of my guests, is that were you prepared? Did you know that this was coming?
Oh, okay. To be frank and honest with you, no, I wasn't. I didn't think it would come to this. And
Yeah,
this was around January, Jan Feb, when you were hearing about the new virus sprouting up, right? To tell you the truth, the last trip that we took, me and Madge, we went to Bali at the end of February, right? So we already took a trip, and that was when news reports were sprouting about this new virus. But I didn't think any of it. Like, I think we're gonna handle it well. But the moment that they announced the quarantine, and this was around mid-March or just before, I think that was March 13 or March 12. I knew it was for real. It got to me. It got to me. And I will be very forthright to our viewers right now. It really got to me. It got to me on a deep level. Like the first night of the announcement of the quarantine, it's like, holy shit, this is for real. This is happening. What am I gonna do? And again, I'll be very honest. I'm right now, up until right now, I'm alternating between bouts of really worrisome thoughts, no, not depression, but just really anxiety, right? Anxiety and being and being motivated and hopeful of what is to come. So I alternate and vacillate between that, and it's just yes. So I really need to clear my head and put myself in a good headspace to move forward and to plan ahead.
Um, that being said, did you, because it came, it hit us, and you're absorbing it, and then what I'm just thinking about your thought process and how it was, evolving in your mind. Did you go into, hey, how are we? Of course, how are we going to deal with this? Am I going to do a strategic planning? Is there a crisis management that I have to do? What is the state now of Jason Magbanua's work? What are we going to do?
Okay, it's my structure is not as formalized as yours or some other companies. It's just really, I guess, the name of the brand is Jason Magbanua, and for ill or good, it's up to me to think of things to do. Of course, I have yes, but I have a handful of people who I trust, and I bounce ideas off, and like sounding boards, and I listen to their inputs. But ultimately, it's going to be my decision. Um, there was no like formal written down things of this is what's going to happen, but there was like initially like, fuck, what's gonna happen, I felt for my the people who work for me, right? Like the first time, like how are we gonna survive this, right? How are we gonna survive this? And I think it started from me uh like pulling myself out of that pit and just thinking like, okay, all right, you gotta calm down. This is not gonna last forever. What are the resources that you have? What are the things that you can do? How can you implement this? And again, I guess foremost really is like what do you do with the people in the company, right? What do you do with the people in the company? How are you gonna take care of them, right?
What's the
How
you
Yes. How are you gonna take care of your clients, right? How are you gonna take care of the bookings in the future? And so slowly and surely, I was able to take myself out of that pit and just really um, sought action. And it's like, and although RN, um, what's happening right now is unprecedented, right? Right? It's like it's never happened before. But the great thing about it is that however we treated our clients before this pandemic is the same way that we're treating them right now, with kindness, understanding, with fairness, right? Yung parang hindi mahirap sa amin ngayon i-address ito because we've been treating the client same way as before. I mean, we were fair before, we were understanding, we would go to lengths to cater to whatever they want, to treating them justly and fairly and with kindness. It's no different now. It's no different now. All our years of doing business has prepared us for this pandemic in how we treat our clients.
So, to put it together, what you said, and I really love it, is that your business ethics has not changed.
Yes, correct. Because we always look at it from perspective of like, how can we serve you better? How can we serve you the best? There's a pandemic and then you have to move your wedding a year in advance? That's fine by us. No problem. Let's move it. Let's look for a date in the future when we can all agree on na merong iba pang suppliers na kailangan natin na kamada lahat. That's not a problem. No problem at all.
So when you deal with the postponements and cancellation, number one, because I know this is your business ethics also, whatever deposit was given will be honored, correct?
Perfectly. Yes. It will be honored. There are no fees
Additional.
for rescheduling. I mean, for me, that's absurd. I mean, I will not penalize a client just because of this global pandemic who nobody saw coming. I won't penalize you. It's fine. No problem. If you move it in the future, well and good. We'll look for a particular date. If that date that you want is booked, take a look at my team B. Take a look at my team, my other team. They do awesome work. If you're not okay with them, okay, I'm not gonna say no. I'm gonna say, let's revisit this in a year. Let's see what happens. Because right now, honestly, I can't give you the deposit back. In the most polite, in the most understanding way possible, I'm going to explain that. But, you know, it's not as hard no, but let's see in a year from now. Ganon.
Yeah. So again, it's the flexibility, and you're not putting a cap as to how many times they can move the date, right?
Oh yeah, because everything is uncertain. And like, I mean, we might think that October or November would be fine this year, but we don't really know. And you sticking with us and you wanting me to be your videographer, I mean, that's fine. That's excellent. That's fine enough by me. Let's look for a different date. If October and November doesn't clear, let's look for 2021.
So these are your methods. Like, how do you actually assuage or allay or reassure the couples that actual what in short of saying what words do you use that they're not really scared?
Okay, I think, and you know this as much as I do, RN. It's like really clear and constant communication, right? Like from the outset, because I take care of all the initial emails, and then Teresa takes care of the actual booking. She has Teresa, my office manager. I mean, as soon as somebody messages me, it's like I open a group chat right away. Hey, Teresa, let's have our dear client, let's help our dear client here look for a free date for next year. You take care of that. It's like me delegating the work to Teresa, to my office manager, but at the same time, me telling the client, it's like, it's okay. I mean, we're on top of things. We're doing this, and it's fine. And I guess what helps also, RN, is that I'm coming from a place of acceptance, meaning I know perhaps that like from starting March up until September, October, there's not going to be any weddings to shoot, right? For me, it's October at best. I'm coming from that place. And therefore, the acceptance of people rescheduling their events is much easier for me. I'm not going to fight that, because fighting that means like fighting all the efforts of containing this virus. And I'm not about, I know the effects. I know what it does to people. So I will err on the side of caution.
Yes, because like what everybody's saying, it's like when the second wave hits you, it's probably going to be worse.
Yes. And all that we've been doing since March would be all for naught. Because, di ba, ang healthy natin, that's something to be thankful for. It's already, the first week of May, and we're good. Like, we're doing this live streaming thing. We're able to do things with good health. And it's going to be sad, but the moment that the ECQ lifts, that's the moment that you get hit with this, it's not worth it.
I mean, like, I can't help but remember what Jack Ma said. Right now, forget about making money. You have to be alive.
Yes, to survive, right? I saw that message as
Yeah,
well.
you survive and then you can make money. But right now, because a lot, the problem, like as a coordinator, as a planner, what we're facing is that some of our clients we feel are not naman insistent, but they kind of nag you in a way na, what do you think? Is October a good, time
I
to
feel
just
for
get
you. I feel for you. It's because for me, I mean, right now, the planners are the hardest hit. Not in
yeah,
terms of economy, but or financially, but really more of the stress levels and being
yeah,
in constant communication with couples. I can't do what you do. It's a balance of diplomacy and politeness and being
yeah.
forceful of hey, di ba, parang come on, di ba? Magising ka. It's not gonna happen August. It's not gonna happen September. I feel for you guys.
Yeah, I thank you, Jason. I knew you all people would really get and understand that. But um, as far as where your company is going to be heading, the only reason I'm bringing this up again, not necessarily insisting, is that what is in the works? Are you planning any example, any promotions, any new packages, anything that we're going to be so excited because you're bringing it out?
Okay, the first thing that I did, like on a from a company perspective, is that it was really an admission that everything will be for nothing if this virus is not defeated, right? That's an admission of everything starts from there. We can plan all we want, but if this goes on for a longer period of time than most of us can imagine, it will be all for nothing. So one of the first things really that I did, okay, was try to donate as much as I could, as financially possible, to uh, to the efforts um, to combat the virus, or at least for the frontliners, right? So on the maybe perhaps I think it was the second week, I
Yeah,
posted out on social media that whoever still deposits and make plans for the wedding in 2021, I will uh, I promise to give half of that, deposit half of that to certain foundations who are combating the virus. And
yeah,
I'm very happy and I'm very proud that right now we are at just under 200 grand, like 200,000 pesos for donations. This is
yeah,
distributed across Kaya Natin, which is under Vice President Lenny Robredo. Second
yeah,
would be Rock Ed, which is an LGU also for devoted to help the frontliners, and Save San Roque, which is under what it does is that it helps the urban poor in Quezon City. There's a city there who needs great help. So you what I was able to do there is like twofold. From a business perspective, RN, is that like I was
yeah,
able to still continue the cash flow, right? At least
yeah,
merong deposit, right? And at the same time, it just felt really good to help out. And kung ang deposit sa akin 50,000, half of that 25,000, merong resibo, ito diretso sa uh, dun sa mga LGUs na to, no? Sa non-government, sa
yeah,
NGOs na to. So it's win-win. It's win-win for me, and it's win-win like, okay, I was able to help. So that was like the first initial thing. Now that helped me, helping out others, helped me just clear my head and say, okay, kaya to, kaya to. So now from a company standpoint, anong gagawin natin pag bumalik na, kapag pwede na uli? It's thinking about uh, live streaming events during the actual wedding, right? It's like, okay, what equipment do I need? What kind of manpower and skill do I need? Because I see events shrinking from 500 to at best 50. How am I best to live stream this event to people who want to witness the event? So those are things that I'm thinking of. How how am I able to adhere to guidelines for quarantine and social distancing on the actual shoot? Like, number one, I should cut down on people who I bring, right?
Correct.
Like from 7 or 8, I gotta do with 4 or 5. That's a step. Transportation, personal protective equipment. How are we going to distance ourselves from, let's say, the client, the people around us? What equipment do I need? So it's forward thinking like that I'm able to plan for when this eventually clears out and we're able to shoot again.
Definitely, I feel you're definitely on the right track because you're being very proactive, and that word is often used, being proactive, because um, you're frontliner. Photo, video, hair, and makeup is frontliners. The same with the coordinators, right? And I was just talking to a hair and makeup supplier. She was saying, definitely, if you look at examples of how what we're gonna do, it's gonna be less people during the preps
Correct.
in the room. Yeah, everybody is going to be using whatever safety measure is going to be dictated by at that time, whether the hotels, whether it's our own personal measures or the hotel or the venue
Correct.
or the
Or the
client, right?
government. Yeah.
Yeah. So we are going to abide by all of this. And I'd really like to emphasize that as early as now, as while we're talking, that um, this is not going to be the last of the episodes because we do realize that talking about it is so crucial. But it's also more important that we come up with measures that will at least self regulate us without the necessity of making it so formal and everything. It's like, it's not, it's almost like an informal manifesto that, okay, if you're the client, these are the requirements of the photo and video. Okay, that you will only have so many people and that we should only start 2 hours before. Those are just the things that are coming up during this discussion, which I would like to take up later on in another episode because we're all talking the same thing. So we
Correct.
just really have to formalize it. And which leads me to ask, because we all know that you're one of the, how do you say, you're in the forefront of destination weddings. And we've gone through a lot of destinations together. So are you still up to traveling?
Um, 2020, no. 2021, 2021 Q1, no.
Okay.
Maybe Q3, Q4 of 2021. It just
Okay.
really depends on how it goes down as far as the global management of the pandemic or of COVID-19 goes. Uh, it's
Are you
I
talking?
mean I would decline. I would decline Q1 Q2 of 2021. It's not worth it, I guess. It's not, especially for I mean, it's a plane, it's a closed environment. It's something that I'd have to really, really think about if I'd still take those in Q1 and Q2 of 2021.
Are you referring to international travel or including local travel?
You know, I first and foremost, I answered your question as like referring to international travel. But what difference does it make for Cebu or Boracay, right? What difference does it make? It's still a closed environment, and maybe there are parang mas least pa nga yung implementation ng protocols, no, locally. So I would think it wouldn't be a hard no, but I would think about it. It depends on how it shapes up.
Yeah.
Fortunately, the bookings that I've had like in recent weeks are all
Yeah.
Manila. So parang it would just really depend on how we manage this the situation on a local, on a national, and a global scale.
Okay. Because it was also brought up, yes, fine, you travel, but then there are people who came from, let's say, Italy, who rode the plane going to Cebu. So I understand where you're coming from. So they're also a cause of a risk. So yeah,
Yes.
I
Yes.
think what you're
I
saying.
think all the things that we're going to do, the PPEs, the things that the lessening of crew and staff for the weddings, it's all minimizing risk at the end of the
Yeah.
day. because the risk will always be there, whether you're doing grocery in marketplace or whether you're picking up like necessities from a store. The risk will always be there, but the smart way to go about it is just to minimize that risk.
So, Jason, this is the new normal. It's whether to be taking risk or to playing it safe. Is that what you're saying?
Okay. Labeling it as new normal is there's a sense of I don't want to call it the new normal because there's a sense of resignation. Like for the meantime, I guess that's going to be those are the conditions that we're going to be operating in. But uh, I'm maybe these conditions will get better over time. But in the immediate future, yes, these are the conditions that we are going to operate on.
I'm glad that you clarified that because let's face it, many people really need the reassurance, and some naman are not going to listen to what even if you reassure them, they'll still want something else and everything. So, what I'd like to ask now is that your team is on board, and you are the one who will be taking the responsibility for them. Is this okay for you? Is this easy for you?
Uh, you are do you mean as far as infection goes or like the
Yes.
brutally speaking?
No, because really what I'm leading up to is in a way that a lot of people are trying to put in measures like event insurance and additional safety measures for their people to safeguard it. It's easy sometimes to talk for us, but our people who have families, like you're also putting them at risk. And I know
Yes.
this goes to every supplier. Yeah.
I think the answer to your question would be is no, I will not put my crew at risk, and that goes for me as well. I mean, I wouldn't go into battle where I wouldn't ask my troops to. I mean, I wouldn't go myself if I'm not sure of the situation. So I think it has to be a reality where I mean there's stability and at least a semblance of control over the situation. That's why a bit of tangent, like all this talk about the GCQ, right? I mean, for me,
Yeah.
that doesn't change anything. If I like it that you're drinking, thank you so much. Cheers, cheers.
Yes.
This talk about the GCQ, it doesn't mean anything because if the government declares that everything is safe by June 1, nothing changes. Nothing changes from May 31 to June 1. The virus will still be there. The people who are already with a virus will always be there, will still be there. It doesn't mean anything. It's an arbitrary announcement of, hey guys, we're back in business. But really, we're not. And I guess it's a discretion of the companies, of the company owners whether they will uh, be on board with that or not. And I will err on the side of caution. I will say, like I will put safety above all
Yeah.
else before profitability.
Yeah. Because um, totally an agreement with you because I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but like the case of Senator Sani Angara, he got it and now he got it again. So what's that all about, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and again, I have to bring up the thing of the second wave, and I really love how you balance being positive, and at the same time, you're not taking the risk, and at least how do I put it?
I, I,
Making
I
sure
mean,
that people understand where you're coming from.
I need to be grounded. I need to be grounded because
That's important. That's
that's
important.
uh, that's the best way to approach this. Because like people are looking forward to the GCQ, but that doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't mean anything.
Because again, you are not the voice of doom. I think you're being very realistic, very practical about the whole thing. And let's face it, people will listen to what you have to say. And it's very important that what you're bringing out there makes sense to them, and it's acceptable. They understand where you're coming from, which is really what we're having here, the discussion and everything. Because how many of your followers, your clients, your couples really get to sit down with you and understand your mindset, where you're coming from? That's what I really wanted to bring out. So with that being said, please make us understand it better. Please give us a message to all your
Oh,
followers and the public.
I guess it's just really a balance of being hopeful and being grounded and reality based. Um, I am going to be the first one to tell you that really I'm alternating between thoughts of being worrisome and anxious and being hopeful. It's always like there and there and there. I'm always vacillating. Mahirap siya. And I guess what I'm trying to say is okay lang maging anxious, okay lang maging worried, but this will pass. This will pass, and it's the blanket hopeful advice is that we can all go through this together, but in some ways or not, I can be cynical about it. It's like, oh fuck, we're all alone, we're all by ourselves. But really, I just a friend just reminded me, RN, that like I and this helps me a lot right now, especially that because I started from nothing. You know this, RN. Like I started from like this wide-eyed green videographer who didn't know how everything went with all of this, right? And I survived that, and I built upon that and just made things better for myself and the people around me. And right now, I don't have nothing, right? I am coming from something right now because of all that hard work. So it's
Yeah.
something that I hold on to, that I've I've been through a lot worse. Really, really. I've been through a lot worse, and what I have right now is much more than what I had back then. And therefore, it's something to be hopeful about. Na kaya to, because this is not something that I haven't encountered before, and it gives me hope. It gives me hope.
Yeah. Um, uh, that that perspective is very meaningful for me, knowing what you came from. And let's face it, we have to bring it out also to the other people who, like what you said, are also suffering. Even if we say hindi ka nag-iisa, yeah, because we're all naman, in this together. Like what you said, it's still your personal perspective. And people have to always remember that the mere fact that we still open our eyes, we still have food to eat, right? And it's still a blessing. And compared to what
Yes.
the other people are more or less enduring, we have to take that into account. Jason, thank you so much for the message. Thank you so much for
Can I
sharing.
ask just one more thing with what you said? Yes, RN, knowing that we are in a better place than most of the people in this society, I think
Yeah,
that puts you in a great position to help out other people. Like
yes,
we're not living na parang, oh, what are we going to eat for dinner? What are we going to eat for breakfast? Paano na, no? Hindi pa. Wala pa tayo sa ganun. And that puts us in a very special position to help others. And I would like to remind people of that. So they can put themselves in a fortunate mindset na, okay, there are still things to be done and there are ways to help other people who are much, much less fortunate.
yes. And with that, again, Jason, thank you so much. Cheers, more power. Yes, don't finish the bottle.
I will
Don't
not
finish the
finish the
bottle.
bottle, but thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for allowing me to at least wear a button up and not a sando on a Tuesday. Thank you. Thank you so much. I had a great time, RN. Uh, you and your family and your team, your beautiful team. All the best to you. Say, health, health and wellness for all of you.
Thank you so much. More power, Jason. Hello to Madge and the kids.
Yes. Cheers.
Cheers.